In 1974, Zimbabweans, then Rhodesians, were forcibly taken from their homes and herded into protected villages, also known as keeps. The move, purportedly for the people's protection, was the cause of great resentment and anger. The Rhodesian government provided transport and basic amenities such as water, but the people were not fooled. They had been relocated by force.
It's a real disaster. What's happening? We've been chased from this place.
Churu Farm was owned by Ndabaningi Sithole, a founder member of the original ZANU party, but by now in fierce opposition to government.
When the police came, we are just forced to push out.
Thousands of people were given only hours to leave their homes, despite a court order in their favor.
They were abusing people.
What did they do?
They said you must take all your belongings within 30 minutes' time.
It is acting illegally. I mean, no bully acts legally. They're just being bullies, that's all.
Many spent weeks living with their possessions on the side of the road, with nowhere else to go. In May 2005, 2 months after the hotly disputed parliamentary elections, in which almost 100% of urban seats were retained by the opposition MDC, the ZANU-PF government has embarked on what it calls a clean-up campaign, named Operation Murambatsvina. The first target was inner-city vendors. All marketplaces, even those officially designated as such, have disappeared in piles of rubble. Murambatsvina is countrywide.
Kade bediliza ngamasotsha sibile lizwe lamapholisa kakhulu amapholisa nxa ukuthi kuyabuzakala ukuthi kade kwenze njani amakhansila bayehluleka bathi ayisilo hlelo lwawo lolu hlelo lukahulumende kanye lawo amapholisa futhi ayakutsho ukuthi bona babuya kusemthethweni bavela kuhulumende.
Uma benthengisa nje ama-vegetable konke amatamatisi kwenye nje bengodinga into zonke ezisemakethe.
Bakufice izinto zonke lezo zikhona.
Yebo bafice zikhona abanthathele.
Bathethe izinto ezingaba ngenza emalini.
Izinto ade zikhona sezinge-200,000.
Over 20,000 vendors have been arrested, many of them beaten, even those with valid permits. Goods are forfeit to the state, countless millions of dollars worth.
These vendors, for instance, they had license from the city council. They totally destroyed. I mean, it really causes so much anger, so much unhappiness. It is these people, this was their livelihood.
Even landmark trading centres, such as Mbare's Siyaso Market, established as long ago as most people can remember, have been dismantled and razed to the ground. Traders have salvaged what they can, as fast as they can. In all areas, wherever there is evidence of small-scale business and trade, it is demolished and destroyed. Zimbabwe has an unemployment rate of 80%. The majority, therefore, were surviving in the informal sector. A week after the onslaught began, the campaign has moved to small dwellings, so-called illegal structures, many of them long-established homes.
When I built this cottage, it was legal. It was not illegal, but it was legal because when ZANU-PF were campaigning, they said the government has got no money. Anyone who has got a space to his own house can build some cottages for the people to survive because government has got no money to build houses for the people.
Zimbabweans are on the move.
Mugari wemuno too long, but what happened, I never know kuti zvinhu zvakarongwa sei. Kuda kuti vanhu vakapigwa organization unzi titame within a short period of time tingagona zvedu kunge takatama. Azvine kuti zvinhu zvatakafutwa kuti sudden death ungonzi zvinhu takutodai taudadai saka tichamboziva kuti chokwadi chacho chaicho zvatofanira kunge tichiita chacho chaizvo ndezvipi chaizvo.
The coldest month of the year, thousands are on the streets with nowhere to go. Hatcliffe Extension is also flattened. Ironically, it is where many former residents of Churu Farm were put by government in the early 90s.
We were asked in 1995 to try and help out with some of these people who were resettled, to help from a medical point and with some of the children. We had a creche for 180 little ones, orphans and vulnerable children. Some of them were ill themselves, most of them were orphans. We also had a clinic once a week where we saw between 80 and 160 sick people, and 105 of those were on antiretroviral treatment. I got a call on Sunday morning saying the police had arrived and that all structures in Hatcliffe Extension had to be demolished within 24 hours. So I couldn't quite believe it because I knew most of the people there were legal and they were paying rent to the municipality and they had been settled there on a temporary basis, but they were put there by government.
ZANU-PF presidential candidate Comrade Robert Mugabe today rounded up his campaign rally for Harare province with a rally at Hatcliffe Extension where 6,000 housing stands were allocated to individuals and cooperatives. More from our news teams.
Part of the 6,600 residential stands were distributed to 5 housing cooperatives based in Hatcliffe. The stands have since been serviced by government and ready for occupation. The President, Comrade Robert Mugabe, later donated $1 million towards the construction of a school.
So we got there at 7:30, and to my horror, the whole area was absolutely devastated. There was people all over the place. There was smoke coming up from where some things had been burned. So we started demolishing that with the people, and it was one of the most painful experiences I've ever experienced. And I was here during the liberation struggle, and I never thought I would see the day when this was happening to Zimbabweans.
After 10 days of demolition, Hatcliffe Extension was burnt to the ground. The few remaining families who either had no money to transport their property or were vainly hoping for a reprieve, are being moved to New Caledonia Farm on the other side of town. It is virgin bush. There is no water, no sanitation, no schools, clinics or roads, not even the wooden huts they were forced to demolish in Hatcliffe.
By force. Zambo. Asi atizimo takaita. Asitezoti mastenza takatapuwa ndedu. Wakatoro paiginya.
The story of Hatcliffe is being replicated countrywide. Killarney in Bulawayo, for 20 years home to the poor, is demolished and burnt. The Killarney people are also moving, but only thanks to a group of churches who have offered them temporary shelter. Some don't want to leave what has been home for as long as they can remember. Government has offered no alternative. The church is a welcome stopover. What happens next is anyone's guess. No alternative either in Beitbridge. Nor in Ngozi mine settlement.
They're 3 weeks.
Not even for 3-week-old babies. They too sleep in the open, the discarded trash of Zimbabwe. Workers in the once flourishing tourist town at the Victoria Falls were encouraged by City Council to build their own houses. Now they are ordered to knock them down, again with no alternative offered.
I mean, I needed to come on Tuesday, but there was no transport because they had closed. There were roadblocks all the way. So I couldn't manage. Then I came on Wednesday, found all my things. I'm missing my birth certificate, identity for my wife, my passport forms, and all other things. You know, I can't find my things. It's bad, you know, it has disturbed my mind, everything. I'm like a non-starter now. I have nowhere to go.
Some demolished areas were home to the poorest of the poor. But Operation Murambatsvina's definition of trash extends far beyond shacks. Housing cooperatives, all built with apparent government approval, in the absence of a government housing scheme, have also been laid to waste. All supervised, and in some cases implemented by large numbers of heavily armed police and army.
The situation is just terrible. People are destroying their cabins, their cottages. People are lining outside the streets, piling their whatever they bought, you know, in the past. And People are really angry. They are hopeless, directionless. They don't even know what to do.
But chinotishamisa ndicho the government, I don't know the reason why yakaunza muno polling station ichiti vanhu vavote ichiti zvine zvakagadzirwa nehurumende kuti ine yakuzikanwa nehurumende kuti yakagadzirwa zviri kunzi kuti pamutemo. But you might surprise now izvi vanhu vese vari kudestroyiwa vachiputsirwa dzimba dzavo nezvinhu zvavo. Vabereki voenda kupi tenda kundogara kupi? Tichaita sei? Muno munyika yese people tiri kukraya kwavabereki nekumusha izvi vanhu vese vari kutambudzika. Saka tichaedza tichaenda kupi?
Ya inini zviri kunyanya kundorwadza ndezvokuti panapa ndinondanga business nanchita panapa ndoranga lichiponesawo mhuri yangu. Saka iyo zvinezvi tipase izvo taita zvatotinesa manje kuti tingaite sei.
Ndinzwa moyo wangu uchitambura nezvakaitika izvi.